Hi guys, Invisigoth here. Welcome to my new series of videos. In this series I will be doing a speed run through Minecraft. It was done all in one sitting. And this is vanilla Minecraft, hardcore difficulty, version 1.5.2. For the speed run I'll be generating a random world and going all the way through it, killing the dragon, watching the end credits roll. So let's get started. I'm recording commentary for this after the fact because I had to focus on playing the game. As you can see there, hardcore mode, no seeds specified, everything else is default. So first things first, I have to figure out which biomes I'm looking at. There's certainly going to be some variable factors based on which biomes are nearby. I don't want to do a whole lot of traveling. So I do want to see what's around and what's available. So we got a plains biome here, possibly a village, theoretically. And then switching to far render distance just so I can get a little bit more information about what's out on the horizon. Swamp there. Some exposed coal over here. Looks like some, actually I saw a cactus, so that's a desert over there. At first I thought it was just shoreline, but it's clearly a desert. And that's going to be good. Basically, and I'll go through the typical process of getting some wood and upgrading to stone tools. So that pretty much doesn't need any explanation. So I'll give you a quick overview of the issues that I've come up with over many, many attempts at this. I think this was speedrun 37, the 37th serious attempt at getting through this. So along the way, I developed a strategy and worked out some of the kinks in that strategy. Basically, for a speedrun through Minecraft, what you need are the Eyes of Ender to activate the end portal. You also need a few Eyes of Ender just to even locate the end portal and the stronghold that it's in. So basically, you're talking anywhere from... You can't guarantee that there are going to be any pearls in the end portal. Sometimes you have 12 slots, and sometimes there are a few pearls in some of those slots. So you can end up needing 12 ender pearls. You can end up needing 9. Maybe even a little bit less than 9, but you certainly can't count on needing any less than 12. I've seen many cases where you need all 12. So you need 12 Eyes of Ender, and probably about 2 to 3. If you're really careful about triangulating the location of the stronghold, you could probably get away with 14, 15 Eyes of Ender, which means, let's call it 15 Ender Pearls and 8 Blaze Rods. So that's your primary focus. If you could get that in your inventory, you could pretty much scrap everything else and just head straight for the dragon. So, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go out to the nether and get the blaze rods, but that actually isn't too difficult. That should be able to be something that I can do in 1, possibly 2 trips at the most. Of course, finding a nether fortress is a little bit tricky sometimes, so that's one of the random factors that I had to account for here. You're not guaranteed to find a nether fortress in, say, the space of even an hour. So you can get lucky, you can get unlucky, that just depends. But basically, once you find that fortress, and once you find a blaze spawner, then you're pretty much good to go. Once you're at that point, you can get 8 blaze rods, even with very low level equipment, in the space of about, 5 or 10 minutes. You just basically kill blazes until they drop, and they drop them pretty frequently. So that's probably, 13, 14, 15 blazes. It's a little bit rough, but it's not too bad. And since you get 2 blaze powder for each blaze rod, so that's even lower than one might think. The real trick, and this is where it gets really hairy, is getting the damn ender pearls. The only place to realistically get an ender pearl is an Enderman. So unless you happen to come across an Enderman in a cave, which is really, really rare, you're basically going to have to be out at night killing Endermen every chance you get. I've tried this many times, and there have been several situations where I got to the end portal and I was still short 3 or 4 ender pearls. And that really just completely derails a speed run. So my plan is, or was, I'm recording this commentary afterwards. My plan, my general strategy is to go out every night, all night long. Now keep in mind, Minecraft has a 20-minute day-night cycle. 10 minutes of full daylight, followed by a minute and a half of sundown, 7 minutes of night, minute and a half of sun up. So 20 minutes total, of which probably really that 7 minutes of nighttime is really the only good chance you have of finding an Enderman. So I've basically got to be up there every single night, right as the sun is going down, continue running around like a crazy man all night long looking for Endermen to slaughter, and then coming back and doing all the rest of the stuff, anything that's not Enderman related, starting after sunup is complete and full daylight has started. So you're going to see that in this video. I'm going to be doing an awful lot of it, but that's really the only way to get through the game. Now, Endermen are very rare as far as mob appearances go. For your standard, I don't know, say 30 monster spawns, you'd be lucky to get one Enderman spawn. They, according to the wiki, only spawn in groups of 2. Sometimes you'll see more, but that's just multiple groups that spawned in near each other. So already, you've got less mobs, and they are much less frequent than zombies and skeletons and spiders, creepers. So, the deck is already stacked against you. Even if you do find some Endermen, the chances of them dropping a pearl are probably about 50%. So if you need 15 pearls, you're going to have to kill about 30 or more Endermen. And this is truly random. It's just like flipping a coin. So you could flip that coin 10 times in a row and get heads every time. Or you could get tails every time. You just don't know. There is no expectation with a small sample of actual incidents that you will get any sort of a normalized distribution. You're basically, every single time you hit an Enderman, it is completely independent. So if you had a bad luck streak, you still don't have a greater chance of getting the next pearl. It's still, 50-50 or whatever it is. I actually looked it up online. I couldn't find any information as to exactly what that number is. But anecdotally, it seems to be about 50%. So, I guess I'd have to count to see how many Endermen I killed. It was probably in the 30 to 40 range, and, we'll talk about that as we go, but it was a slog. And I'll be honest, this run, I didn't have as much luck with that as I would have otherwise, which makes this not exactly a record-breaking speedrun by any stretch. It's adequate. I wanted to post it because A, it's a baseline for my future speedruns, and B, to discuss some of these issues. I know that certain people in the Minecraft community have talked to me in various different threads about some of these things. And A, I bet there are people out there who've tried this recently, and there are a lot of issues. I know there are people, for instance, that tried to do basically the same thing, but with a much older version of Minecraft. Well, they change the damn game every time that they release a major patch. So things pretty much, you basically have to run a new speed run every time they seriously update the game. Like, for instance, this is 1.52. We've got a horse update on the horizon any moment now, and when that happens, that'll be a completely different bag, because using horses clearly is going to be better than just running around. So the other thing is that I know people have played around with these issues, but I don't know that people have developed any better techniques than what I have. Now, that said, there are some choices along the way as to how to make a successful speedrun. In this case, because in my experience it takes so much time to get those ender pearls, no matter what you do, what I'm going to be doing is trying to get an enchanting table. Again, working backwards from the ingredients you need to activate the end portal. You've got ender pearls, which we've already talked about, and then you've got the blaze rods. Well, in order to get the blaze rods, you have to go to the nether. In order to go to the nether, you have to build an obsidian portal. There's two ways to do that. You can either get a diamond pickaxe and mine the obsidian somewhere, or you can get 10 buckets of lava and build the portal block by block using kind of a mold system where you put in the lava source in the correct position, you pour water over it, it turns into obsidian, you move your mold, you go to the next block, put the lava in, pour the water over it. Now you could do that and that would get you to the nether very quickly, but in my experience that's great and you get your blaze rods, but then you're standing there with like 3 or 4 ender pearls and you still gotta spend at least another 4 or 5 days of game time getting those damn pearls. So I decided to go the route of getting a diamond pickaxe, mining the obsidian, and getting an enchanting table. In my speedrun attempts, I'm getting about, I don't know, probably a total of 40 to 50 levels of experience. So that way I can use that experience, get an enchanted bow, even if it's only power 1. That's a huge difference when fighting the dragon. Getting some armor is great early on, especially if you accidentally get nailed by an Enderman, which will really, really mess you up if you screw up. So I'll be kind of taking that approach. Certainly other people have done it without the enchantment table, and I could totally understand why that is. I would potentially skip the enchanting table, and I actually have on previous attempts that I didn't post. But you'd have to basically start out with some lava nearby, and even then you're going to be wasting a lot of experience that you do accumulate as you go. And if you can possibly grab, you literally need 5 diamonds, so that if you're lucky it can be 1 diamond deposit. And since you're probably going to be digging for iron anyway, which is what I'm doing here, if you go down to the bottom and you hit that 1 deposit, it's very likely that you will find at least 1 diamond deposit. You need 3 diamonds for your pickaxe so that you can get the obsidian. Now, you can build a portal without needing the pickaxe, but you can't make an enchanting table without the pickaxe because you actually have to mine the obsidian, put it in your inventory so that you can put it in the crafting table. So basically the diamond pickaxe serves a dual purpose, and that's, by the time you get that, that's definitely the last pickaxe you'll need for the rest of the speed run. And then if you're going to go ahead and mine 10 obsidian, you may as well grab 4 more, and then beyond that all you need is 1 leather and 3 reeds, and you've got yourself an enchanting table. It's actually pretty trivial at that point. So that's the approach I took on this speed run, just based on the stuff that was available. If there had been like a pool of lava nearby, maybe I would have gone ahead and done that right off the bat. I mean, strictly speaking, it's very easy to put up an obsidian nether portal on the first day, as long as you get the right conditions. So what I'm doing here is just throwing together as much iron as I can scavenge up. I've got some basic supplies. I don't even think I have coal at this point. I mean, I used it all on my torches. But, oh, actually, it's in my stove, I think. But so I'm putting a marker here so that I can see where my stuff is. It may have not been the best choice to put my base at sort of the edge of the desert. Plains and desert are great for hunting Endermen because, first and foremost, you want to be able to see the Endermen. The more trees you have, the harder they are to see. So plains and forests are great for that. Now there's an Enderman already. First Enderman. Let's see if I can piss him off and whack him. And I'm jumping up and down just a little bit, trying to get a few extra critical hits in there. No ender pearl, though. What we've got here is a little structure I like to call my bitch shack, because I'm being a total pussy. But then again, keep in mind, this is hardcore mode. This is my 37th attempt. I really don't want to mess around. I don't want to end up getting dead. An Enderman, especially for someone who has no armor, an Enderman will just kill you in 2 shots. I mean, they do 10 points of damage every hit. That's 5 hearts. And they'll just murder you. They'll just kill you. Normally I go through the game and I leave the Endermen alone for the most part. I kind of generally play games in a manner of, if you don't mess with me, I won't mess with you. Live and let live kind of a thing. But unfortunately in Minecraft you are forced to attack the Enderman in order to finish the game, so you got to do what you got to do. So, off on our hunt for Endermen with some really basic armor. Couple pieces of iron, couple pieces of leather, whatever I was able to cobble together. And now, really for the first time, we're checking out this desert. Now, getting back to the whole hunting the Enderman thing, anything with trees is problematic. Cactuses really aren't great either, but, you know, deserts are pretty nice for several reasons. Plains, you have the thick grass, the tall grass, so you can get surprised by a spider here and there. Mostly what I'm going to be basically doing is sprinting the whole time, avoiding all mobs, just running around looking for an Enderman, looking for an Enderman, looking for an Enderman. Now, I might occasionally whack somebody if they, say, have a nice male helmet that I might find very valuable at this point in the game, like I did with this guy, but other than that, I'm pretty much, I mean, I'm going to hit some spiders up for some initial string to get a bow. Other than that, I'm staying the hell away from mobs. Now, here we got 2 Endermen, and my general tactic is see the Enderman, basically run as close as you can to him, and then start building your bitch shelter. Now, several more issues here. You wouldn't have much chance of getting an Ender Pearl, even if these guys stay put, and of course they do not. An Enderman will teleport away with no reason whatsoever. They will teleport down into a cave under the earth. They can teleport up to 30 blocks away in any direction, just whenever they get the whim to do that. And so it's often the case, and you will see it several times in this video, where I see an Enderman, I go up to them, I try and stay close, so there's... And the other factor is despawning, which I really don't know the rules for, and I don't know that anybody really does. But if you're far away from an Enderman, you can turn around and they're not there. For that matter, if you're far away from a particular skeleton, you know, if you're 100 blocks away, you can turn away and then turn back and they're not there because they despawn. So you've got to deal with teleportation possibilities. You've got to deal with despawning possibilities. Getting close to them helps with the despawning, but not with the teleportation. They can and will teleport down into a cave that you cannot get to in any reasonable amount of time. And so at that point, they're just basically gone. So, take a swim, spiders. Down the plug hole with ya. So, a lot of what I'm going to be doing at night is this. I identify an Enderman, and then I try and sort of clear the area out. I don't want a creeper trying to come up behind me, or for that matter, a spider. I'm not so much concerned with the damage the spider would do, but I don't want the spider pushing me and then having the Enderman have access to me. Yet another factor when fighting the horrifying Enderman all night long like I'm doing here is that the Enderman also has a tendency to occasionally grab a part of your shelter and take it with him. So, and here you have a great example. I really had to be careful with that zombie because he was about ready to shove me into the Enderman, and they could have very easily ping-ponged me back and forth until I was just dead. I wouldn't have even known what happened. So, sun's coming up. I think I got, what, 1 or 2 pearls maybe? So the other factor as far as the biomes go is that you can fight in a desert or in the plains at night. You have a pretty good chance of seeing Endermen from a long distance off, and you can plan accordingly. The difference between the two is that if it's raining, it doesn't rain in the desert. So with the plains biome, that's all well and good. If it starts raining out there, though, I'd have to stick just to the desert. So really, for all intents and purposes, the only good scenario for starting a speed run for me is having some desert nearby. The bigger the better. And it's often the case that desert biomes are either very large or they're sort of connected. If you had a small desert, it probably wouldn't get you enough Endermen. And I'll be honest, even this desert, which is pretty extensive, you haven't even seen sort of the full extent of it yet. This is really just the area right by my spawn. You can run around and cover a fair amount of distance in the space of a night and have a pretty good chance of finding an Enderman. Now, short of that, I don't know what else you could do to really get Endermen. You want to go into a biome where they appear, which desert and plains are clearly biomes where they appear. As far as I know, they don't appear at higher numbers in any other biome. Maybe they do, but if so, I haven't seen any documentation of that. It doesn't say anything in the wiki. And I mean, the bottom line is you kind of get what you get. There really is no way to sort of jockey the system to get more. There is no such thing as an Enderman spawner that you could milk. There are plenty of Endermen in the end, but you need to activate the portal to get there, so it's kind of a catch-22. The other thing I should mention is that you could also set up a village economy and get that rolling and get a priest to sell you Eyes of Ender. That is probably not practical. I mean, even if you did stumble into a village, which is unlikely but possible, you would certainly find them. They're only found in desert and plains, so there's a fairly decent chance that if you have plains and desert like I do here, you would find a village. I don't recall if I did in this playthrough or not. Yeah, I don't remember. If there was, it wasn't a big one, and it was pretty late into the game. But regardless, even if you found one right off the bat, and even if you have a priest that will sell you Eyes of Ender, how the heck are you going to get enough Ender Pearls? I mean, Eyes of Ender will cost you, according to my sheet, 7 to 10 emeralds each. So you're talking for your 15 emeralds, 7 times 15, 70 plus, so just over 100. Yeah, just over 100 emeralds, which is going to take you a long time. If you're selling something easy like paper, you're still going to have to give something like 24 to 35 paper for a single emerald. And so you're talking, 240 to 350. Well, that's 10 emeralds. 2,400 to 3,400 paper. So, is that realistic in the space of, say, 4 to 7 Minecraft days? Not really. So, it can be done, but I don't think it makes sense in a speed run. Even under the best of circumstances, that's going to be problematic. Now, that said, if you do that, you don't have to go to the Nether at all. You don't have to kill a single Enderman. All you have to do is focus on buying those pearls. So it's not impossible, but I just don't think it's a viable strategy for a serious speedrunner. So basically, I'm still stuck with fighting Endermen at night, coming downstairs, at least for the first couple of days. Right now I'm getting a lot of gravel because I want flint. I am going to definitely be killing a lot of chickens. And actually, this gets me back to priorities. Priority 1 is getting Ender Pearls. That is the hardest thing to do, and if you do not spend every possible moment that you can getting Ender Pearls, you will not have a good speedrun. Secondly is arrows. You're going to need a lot of arrows for the dragon fight, especially since you probably won't be able to go in there with some sort of high-powered 30th level enchanted bow. A lot of people go to the end and they have diamond armor and they've chosen between a couple of level 30 bows to get the one that, is most likely to help them in their assault on the dragon. But the simple fact of the matter is, for a speedrun, all I'm going to be able to scrape together is probably a level 8 enchantment. Now, you could, and I have tried in the past, to get some bookcases and up that, but the simple fact of the matter is I have about probably 40 levels to spend from start to finish, and that's a little bit skewed because, you know, I think in this speed run I got up to about level 24, whereas I would have actually gotten more levels if I had gotten to level 8, done an enchantment, then went back up to level 8, get an enchantment. The low level enchantment levels cost less. Going from 8 to 16 costs you substantially more than going from 0 to 8. So I didn't exactly optimize that. I actually couldn't because I was too busy hunting Endermen and too busy hunting for diamonds. But I was able to do it, I think, at about level 24. So here we're just killing chickens, put the feathers together with the flint, and I'll have the arrows I need to get the dragon. Depending on how things go, depending on how ridiculously far away the crystals on top of the obsidian pillars in the end are, you probably need 2 to 3 stacks of arrows. So that's what 48 feathers and 48 flint. It's not too bad to get, but the chickens are the hardest part of that. I mean, the flint, you have basically infinite gravel if you're digging down inside the depths of the earth. So finding the damn chickens is really the hardest part of this thing. So that's priority 2. So you got your ender pearls. Absolutely, anytime you get a chance to whack an enderman and get an ender pearl, you've got to take it. As a matter of fact, the speedrun right before this speedrun, I was actually in a cave system. I heard some endermen. I didn't even see them. They weren't even in the cave I was in. But I had to immediately stop everything I was doing and go straight for them because you just can't pass up a possibility to even get one extra ender pearl early. And certainly the luck that I have as far as finding endermen is going to be probably the biggest factor in me improving the time in subsequent speedruns. Ooh, an iron sword, finally. So yeah, basically upgrading to iron gear, getting rid of the stone gear. We've finally gotten off Stone Age technologies here, and we can actually use some decent tools and armor. So basically, as far as getting to the end and fighting the dragon, really the only gear you need is some iron armor, preferably with a quick enchantment on it. I slap level 8 enchantments on my iron armor just because you don't need any bookcases for it. It usually ends up only getting you protection 1 for the most part, unless you get really, really lucky. But it's something. It adds up. If you have 4 protection 1 armor pieces, that's actually pretty decent protection. And I realized I needed one piece. I think I realized I needed one piece of leather here to make the book for my enchanting table, so I had thrown away too many. Sorry about that. And I'll be the first to admit that not only did I have fairly bad luck as far as getting Endermen and pearls this time through, but I certainly could do a lot of things all the way through this video better. There's no doubt this is not optimized whatsoever. But, like I said, this is a baseline. Anything in the sort of 3-hour range I would be happy with. If I could get something around 2 hours, I would be absolutely ecstatic. And I think if luck is with me in subsequent speedruns, I think I should be able to do that. So, what else? I'm throwing the egg on the off chance that there will be a chicken. If there was a chick, I would let it grow up and then I would kill it later. So don't just throw away those eggs, folks. If you need chickens, it takes 2 seconds to throw, well, probably about 5 seconds to throw a full stack of 16 eggs, and you'll get at least a couple chicks most of the time. But just to give you a perspective, it is very easy. It's actually very typical to have a stack of 16 eggs and not get a single chicken. That gets back to that whole purely random, or in this case, pseudo-random nature of the game. Your past rolls have no bearing on what happens on the next time it rolls. And all these rolls are happening under the hood. They're completely independent, and you can see some very bizarre scenarios. And that is kind of the same with the Ender Pearls. You could easily kill 16 Endermen and not get a single Ender Pearl. It happens all the time. All the time. So what you're seeing here, while it may not be ideal, it's probably typical. Then the problems with the Enderman are that on some nights I think there are at least 1 or 2 nights where I didn't see a single Enderman, and I ran around like crazy. I probably ran about 1 kilometer away from my start point and didn't see a single damn Enderman. And then there are other nights where I see 2 or 3, but I don't get a single Ender Pearl. So I'm really not any better off that night.